Hello all, this is Dr. T.P. Lakshmi working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. So already we seen the topic regarding consistency model and what are the algorithms we seen, and now we are going to see a sequential consistency and the IV case study. Right, sequential consistency already we discussed in the previous video. What do you mean by sequential consistency? Distributed shared memory is said to be a sequential consistent. For any execution, there is some interleaving of the series of operations that is issued by all the process that should satisfying the following two criteria. That is, the first one is sequential criteria 1. It is nothing but the interleaved sequence of the operation. It occurs only either in the case of the last write operation that occurs before it leaves the interleaved sequence, or no writing at all. No write operation should be performed before it's going to be interleave the sequence. So this is the first case. And while coming to the second case, that is a sequential consistency rule 2. Okay, the order of the operations in the interleaving should be consistent. Okay, that means what order that the sender is sending, the same order the client should be received. Okay, that should be executed the same order. So this is what the two things we seen. The topics that we are going to be covered in this video is regarding system model, write invalidation, invalidation protocol, granularity, and the thrashing. So already we discussed about regarding the sequence, these topics under the sequential consistency. Now we are going to be see the IV case study, how it is going to be adopted in that sequential consistency. Okay, so the first one is system model. Okay, so this is the basic model that is going to be considered here, which will be the collection of process that shares the segment of the distributed shared memory. So this model is a page-based system. Okay, we seen that example, right? Sharing of the pages, right? The two processes is going to be share the pages. The previous video I explained that. So it is this model is going to be based on the page-based, and here the segment is mapped. The segment is mapped to the same range of addresses in each process. Okay, so that the meaningful pointer values can be stored in the segment. And the computer should be equipped with the paged MMU, memory management unit. Okay, the first one is this model is a page-based system. Second one, here the single segment is shared between the programs so that meaningful values can be stored in the segment. And the next one is the computers are equipped with a paged memory management unit. Okay, and the next one is just assume that only one process per computer that can access the distributed shared memory segment. Okay, then there may be in the reality be several such processes that the computer can use it, but assumption is only one process is sharing the memory. So this also I explained in the previous video. So assumption is nothing but each system will be assumed that only one process is sharing the memory, but the reality there is a more than one system that can share the memory in the distributed system. And we spoke about the shared distributed shared memory pages, right? This is the same page frame can be used in the page table and by the different processes. Okay, and the DSM can restrict the data access here. Okay, that means the permissions temporarily in order to maintain the sequential consistency. There is a restriction in the data access always. Why? Because so in order to maintain the sequential consistency, when the processing read and writing the operations on the data. Okay, so it needs to be restrict the data access. That means if only, so there will be a problem, right? If more than one process are writing they wants to be write on the data. Okay, that means which is present in the shared memory. So there will be a problem. So for that, the DSM is going to be restrict the data access permissions. Restricts the data access permissions temporarily, not permanently. It's going to be temporarily in order to maintain the sequential consistency. And the permissions, what are the permissions that we are having here is none of the permission, or you can say it is a read only or read write. Okay, there will be the three accessing permissions here. One is there is no permission at all and only the read only file, and the next one is what? The process can read as well as the write on the data which is present in the shared access memory. See here, see this diagram, right? This is nothing but the system model for the page based distributed shared memory, right? So here we have a three process, okay, that is connected with the distributed shared memory. Okay, so all the process we are having the paged distributed shared memory segments. So each and every process we have the distributed shared memory segment, and that is connected with the central distributed shared memory. Okay, and here we have a kernel. What is the use of the kernel here? It redirects the page faults to the user level handler. The help of that, what is the use of the kernel? It is nothing but it redirects the page fault to the handler that should be specified by the distributed shared memory runtime layer in the each process. Okay, and the page fault handler. Here the page fault handler that will be which runs transparently to the application and processes the faults in the special way, and that should be described before returning the control to the application. Okay, and but in the original distributed shared memory system, such we can call it as an example of IV. So here the kernel itself perform the processing that we can describe regarding the page faults, everything. Okay, so in this is an IV system, right? So in that the kernel itself perform the operations like it transparently, which runs transparently to the application, and it processes the fault in the special way to describe before returning the control to the applications. So everything will be taken care by the kernel itself. Okay, and the next one is here it performs the process themselves performing the page fault handling and the communication handling. Okay, here the process, whatever process which is running in this IV system, okay, it itself performs the page fault operation and the communication handling, page fault handling and the communication handling. So some combinations of the distributed shared memory runtime layer in the process, and the kernel performs those handling functions also. And the network is connected here. So with the help of this network, the pages are going to be transferred to the process which is connected, the remaining process which is connected in the distributed system. So usually this process, in the process distributed shared memory runtime, it contains the most significant functionality is nothing but it can re-implemented and fixed tuned without the problems associated with altering the kernel. Okay, it is having the there is a functionality of this distributed shared memory in the IV system is it can be re-implemented and fine-tuned without the problems associated with the altering the kernel. And this will be ignore the page fault processing that takes place a part of the normal virtual memory implementation. So that is the advantage of this one. And apart from this distributed shared memory segments, it competes with other segments also for the page framings, and the implementations whatever we are doing in the IV systems are independent. So whatever process which is connecting to this distributed system, each process are going to be implemented as an independent. Okay, and while connecting to that IV, sequential consistency is going to be connected, and that should be worked in the distributed shared memory. Update. So we seen this one in the previous video, right? Write update. That means if the program tries to do more, then it has a permission for a page fault occurs and the program is blocked until the page fault is resolved. So in the beginning itself I told you that the distributed shared memory will be restriction in the access, right? So each and every page, every process is having a restriction of sharing the pages which is present, sharing the memory which is present in the remaining process. So if any of the program that tries to do more than its permission, which is given by the distributed shared memory, what will happen, then the page fault occurs. The page fault problem will be occurs, so that then the program will be blocked. So when then the program will be blocked until the page fault is going to be resolved. Okay, and if the writes can be buffered, then the write updated is used. If the writes can be buffered, then the write updates will be used. See, if the distributed shared memory is a page based, I told you, right, then write update is used only if the writes can be buffered. When it will be used only when the writes can be buffered. It will be stored in the buffer, right? That time only this write updated will be used. For example, we have 3 process, okay, that they are going to be write it on the shared memory. The variable a, that values is going to be write it in that. Sorry, the value 1 is going to be write value 2, and this is going to be write value 3, and that should be in the same location which is present in the page based system in the variable a. Okay, so all the 3 wants to be perform the write operations. What will happen then? That will be stored in the buffer. Okay, that means based on the priority. So that will be stored in the buffer. Okay, so first one will be the P1 and P2 and P3. Okay, so one by one it will go and update the value. First it will update it, and then it will be updated as 2, and the third time it will be updated as 3. So that time only the page, if write is buffered, then only the write updated will be used. Okay, so this is nothing but the write update. And here we are using one function that is called as an trace. Okay, this is nothing but the trace exception handling. Actually, this is not a function. We are using one exception handler that is called a trace. Exception handler called trace. So to make every write access produce a page fault, it would be necessary for the page fault handler to set the trace into the set the process into the trace mode, and whereby the processor generates a trace exception after that each instruction. So okay, so wherever it is required, when it will be required, when the write access produce the page fault, okay, that time it would be necessary for the page fault handler to set the process as a trace. Okay, so if after it sets when it will be after it sets the trace mode, then the process generates the trace exception after each instruction. So each and every instruction, then the trace exception will be generated, right? So this is nothing but the trace exception handler, and also it will turn off the write permission to the page and the turn off the trace mode once more. It is used to turn off the permission for the particular program if it becomes the page fault. I told you, right, when the page fault will be occur. So if the page fault will be occur, so if the page fault is occur, we have an exception handler here that is called a trace mode. Okay, this will be set it when the page fault occurs. Okay, so what will happen, it will turn off the permission of the particular page. Okay, with the help of this one only it will be blocked. It will be turn off the particular permission to the page, and then it will be turn off the trace mode once more for that particular process. So this is the use of the trace exception handler. And okay, the whole exercise is whatever they did. Okay, so for example, I told you, right, 3 programs that is going to be write that they want to be write on the distributed shared memory. Okay, so whatever they did, say for example this is completed successfully and P2 is completed successfully, but while going for the P3 the page fault occurs, then what will happen? The whole process is going to be repeated when the write fault encountered. Okay, so this is clear that this method is very, very expensive. Why? Because if anywhere the page fault occurs, then the whole process needs to be repeat again. So there would be any exception caused during the execution of the program. So we should be taken care of the exception handling in the place for what we need to be taken care of for the page fault handler. Next one is write invalidate. What do you mean by write invalidate? This also we explain. So if write cannot be buffered, If write cannot be buffered, then write invalidated is used. So previously what we seen, if write is buffered, write update is used. Here the write cannot be buffered, then in the case we need to be using write invalidation should be used. Okay, so the invalidation messages acts as an requesting the lock on the data. Always it will be acts as an requesting the lock for the particular data. Okay, that means again I am taking the same example. 3 process wants to be written. Okay, so in case of that it is not in the buffer. Okay, then what will happen, this will be invalidate. I mean this write invalidate will be used. They are not going to be use a buffer. Okay, so in that cases what will happen, you know, they needs to lock the data. This process wants to lock the data for some time. Okay, after it completes it relieves it unlock it, then the next process will go and write it. So they need some lock for the particular data. And when one program is updating the data, it has the read write permissions and everyone has the permissions on that page. Okay, that means if one program is updating the data, it has a read write permissions. See, four processes are there. If any other if one process writing means only this process is having the read write permission. The remaining 3 processes having only the read permission. Okay, that is what they are going to be says. So everyone has no permission, and the remaining one has no permission on that particular page. Okay, that means see this P1 wants to write it, right? So in that cases only this process P1 has a read write access, read write permission. The remaining process, they don't have a permission at all. They don't have a permission at all to access the particular data. Even it is they want to read also, they don't have an access. So that is what write invalidate. What is the first one? Write invalidate means if they are not using the buffer, the write is not using the buffer, then this write invalidate will be used. Okay, the invalidation message, it will be always requesting the lock on the data. Okay, so whoever the which process wants to be write it, so they wants to be create a lock on the requesting lock on the data. And if any one process is updating the data, then they have particular process having the read write permission, and the remaining process they don't have a permission at all. Okay, and all the times all have the read only access to the page. Most of the time the process of most of see if it is not in this case, okay, then what will happen, all the process having the read permission. Only when the write permission wants, then only this process will be repeated. Okay, or else this process won't be, because a read operation is nothing, it's not going to be create any problem, right? Then we have 2 terms here, one is owner of P and another one is copy set of P. What do you mean by owner of P? A process with the most updated version of a page P is designated as the owner of the page. Okay, so which process is updating the page at most of the time, or we can say that most of the time the page is updated by the particular process, we can call it as an owner of that page. Okay, then what do you mean by copy set? The set of process that have a copy of the page P is called as an copy set. Okay. So here we can see an example of state transitions under write invalidation, right? So R represents read fault occurs, W represent write fault occurs. So we have a read fault as well as the write fault. Okay, so when the process attempts to write it, write a page P, then that has no access or read only access, the page fault then takes place. If this process wants to write it, that time It is not providing no access or read write access. So what will happen in this case? Page fault will be occur. Page fault occur. So the page fault handling, we have a procedure actually. So here the first one is the page is transferred to PW first. It's going to be transferred to the PW because that page process wants to be write the page. So the first one is the page is going to be transferred to the process PW, right? And it does not already have an up-to-date and read-only copy. So it is having only the read-only copy. So that time none of the process have an read access permission. Okay, none of the process can have an read access permission. So all other copies are invalidated and the page permission are set to an no access at all members of the copy set of P. Okay, first one is the page is transferred to the PW and it does not have any up-to-date read-only copy. It does not already have an up-to-date read-only copy. This is the first one. And the second step is all other copies are invalidated. The page permissions to set the access at all members of the copyright of P. Copy set of P. Okay, the first one is the page is transferred to the PW if it does not have an up-to-date read-only copy. Okay, then after all other copies are invalid, which is the remaining process which is having the copy set of P. Then the page permissions are set to access at all the members of the copy set of P. And the next one is we need to check it, see if this PW wants to write it. So the single writer, okay, always it should be single writer and the multiple reader, that you remember, right? So this one is going to be write it, so that none of the process which is present here will have an read access also. Okay, so what will be happen? Only this is having the read write permission. So none of the process which is having the copy of that particular page, it doesn't have any access, including read access. Read only access. Okay, the next one is now the two or more process that with the read only copies they may take the write false or more or less the same time. Okay, now after it write it will be the copy of the data will be sent to the remaining process in the system. That is what we can call it as a copy set of P. Copy set of P. So copy set of P is equal to, we can say that PW. Okay, so that will be sent to the copy set of P. So the remaining process in the P. And next, who will be the owner of the process? Who is updating the more number of time? So the owner of P is equal to PW, because that is the process which is writing recently the writes on the page. Most of the time which process handling that data, then that process will be the owner of the page. Okay, here the DSM, the distributed shared memory runtime layer in the PW, it places, that is in the PW, it places the page with the read write permission and appropriate locations in the address space, and it restarts the faulting. Next we will see about the reader side. Okay, so after that, see reader side you can see P of R1, P of R2, P of Rn up to P of Rn. The process, whatever the process which is getting the which is in the copy set of P, which is having the copy of the page that can read the data, so it having the read access, read only access, that time none of the process can write the data. If any of the process writing, then that time none of the process can write on the data, write on the particular page. Only they can read it. Okay, next one is the problem with invalidation protocols. The simplest description in their invalidation protocol issue is it can be solved by the, or we can say that it can be improved by the centralized manager algorithm. This will be solved by the central manager algorithm, because previously what we seen, we couldn't know that which is going to be an owner of that particular page. Okay, so there is no there is no person which is going to be monitor all those things, and they itself will get, that's all the page fault, read page fault, write page fault, it is occurring, right? So see here, what are the questions that are, how to locate the owner of P for the given page of P. So this is the first question, and where to store the copy set of P. So these are the two questions it arises, right? First one is how to locate the owner of P for the given page of P. Okay, that means in a single server we can call it as a manager. It is used to store the location, okay, of the owner of P for the every page of P. So this central manager algorithm, I told you that the solution for this one is central manager algorithm. So how it is going to give the solution for the first one? That is, it looks like a single server, it is called a manager. The single server here, which is called as a manager, it is used to store the location of owner of P. It is used to store the single server manager is there, right? It is going to be store the location of the owner of P. Who is the owner of the page of that particular time? That information, that location will be stored by the single server, that is called a manager. Okay, for every page. For every page P, right? And what is the next question? Where to store the copy set of P? This is another question. So here the manager could be one of the process running on the application, right? So what it will do, it could be any other process in this algorithm. The copy set of P will be stored by the owner of P. Where to store the copy set of P? The manager allows the owner of P to store the copy set of P. Why? Because the person who recently updated the page will be most of the time who updated the page, that person will be the owner of that process, will be the owner of the page, right? So what information? So this is a person, right person to store the copy set of P, right? See this diagram here. So we have a faulting process and the current owner, and we have a manager. Current owner of the page and the faulting process anywhere occurs, that also. So all the time the manager holds the particular page number and owner of the page. Okay, it holds the data of the particular page as well as who is the owner of the page. Okay, this is the data which is maintained by the manager. Okay, and what is the owner will maintain? Owner will maintain the copy set of, it will maintain the copy set of P. Okay, so first time the page number, the faulting process, the process is going to be requesting the particular page for accessing. Okay, so it will be tell about the page number and what access it is having. Okay, that information will be given to the manager first. So this is the step 1. This is the step 1, right? Once it's given to the manager, then based on the page number, see there is this process, they couldn't know who is the owner of the page, who is requesting, right? So which access it wants, read or write, that information also it will get it. Once it get it, so based on this page number, they refer the page number and who is the owner of that page, and that will be sent to the particular owner, current owner of the page, and the requester, whatever information will be sent, the requester, who is the requester of the page, and what is the page number and what access they are asking, read access or read only, read only access or read write also. Then after it validated, it will give the access permission to the particular page. That page will be given to the particular process. Next, we have an alternative manager strategy here. The central manager may become a performance bottleneck. Why? Because one manager is going to be taken care of all those things. Sometimes it become performance on the bottleneck. So we have three alternatives for that. The first one is fixed distributed page management. Next one is multicast based page management, and next one is dynamic distributed management. What do you mean the fixed distributed page management? No? Where the program will manage a set of pages for its lifetime. Okay, and next one is or we can say that even it does not own them also, so it will be fixed distributed page management means where the program will manage a set of pages for its lifetime. That pages will be in the particular owner only. Next we will go for the multicast based management, where the owner of a page manages it. It gives a read and write request, or read and write request will be multicasted. Only the owner can be answered. Okay, so whatever it is, their process they want to be accessed, that informations will be multicasting to all the process. So whatever information which is request which is coming to this multicast based manager, then he is only one person can answer for all the things. The next one is dynamic distributed management. So here each program keeps a set of the probable owners of each page. Each page will have each program keeps the set of probable owner. Each program that is going to be keep the set of probable owner of P, owner of the page, okay, of each page. So this will be the dynamic and this is the fixed. So that is the difference between these two. So only always a single owner will be the particular page. There is no change of the owner at all. Here it will be changed, right? And this is nothing but the multicasting. Multicasting means where the owner of the page is going to be manages the read and write operations, write request, and that should be multicasted. Only the owner can be answered for that questions, whoever is requesting that page. Here there is no manager in the middle. So this is a diagram of dynamic distributed manager, right? So it is the first one, PI and PJ. Okay, so we have two process here. Okay, so which is an PI is requesting the prob owner of the page PJ, right? The PI is going to be requesting the owner of the page P, that is they want to be access that data, right? This time what will happen, every process, I told you that this is the one, every process which is going to be keep the probable owner of P information of each page, right? So that time, so each process having process going to be maintain the data, right? So with the help of the data, this is going to be send the request directly to the page, and then after it's going to be this is going to be request to J, and once it gets the data, then this PI will be transfer the permission to the PJ, right? So once it's transfer the permission, what will happen, write invalidation will be taken care of. Okay, what is the second step, the write invalidation will be taken care. Okay, I'll tell you again. The first one is when a process transfer, okay, so it's going to be transfer the ownership itself. Why? Because this is accessing this one, right? So this PJ sends the request to PI, right? That time the process PI is going to be transfer its ownership of the P to another process, then it will be updated. So once it transfer, then this will be update the page. So there is no rights to do anything of PI. PI couldn't do anything. Why? Because it transferred the ownership fully. And while coming to the next one, that is an invalidation. That means when a process handles the invalidation request of the page, then it will be update. Right invalidation I told you, right? So in that cases it will be update. Okay, so it is having the this is a owner now. So whatever this process going to be write on that particular page, that will be updated to the page which is present in the PI. Okay, this is the next one. And one more thing here, the prop owner of P is nothing but the recipient. Okay, this prop owner of P acts like a recipient. Here it acts like a receiver. Sorry, requester. Sorry, this acts like an this is not receiver, sorry, it is requester. Why? Because it is updating and sent. So in this process, so this prop owner of P will be acts like an requester. Okay, and the third one is when the process that has requested for the read. Why? Because now this is the owner, right? This Pj will be the owner. Now this Pi is requesting for read. Okay, then it granted for the read operation. In this places, this prop owner of P will be acts like an provider. It acts like an provider. Okay, and the last one, when the process receives a request for the page P. Okay, it receives a request for the page P, right? That time that time it is not taking. Okay, that means it is not granted. It is not granted. What will happen? Then it will be ask that process to forward the request again. So what will happen? This will be ask the P of I to repeat the request again. Okay, then after it will be granted. So these are the 4 steps in the dynamic distributed manager. So first one is it transfers its ownership here. After it transfers the ownership, it's whatever it is updating the page that will be sent to the P of I, and if it wants to read anything on that particular page, it should send the request, and then after here it will be the Pj is granting the read access. Suppose if it is requesting that time, it is not there will be some time they will be having. So within the time it couldn't send it granted means again it asks the Pi to send the retransmit the request. It's very difficult. Okay, so this is updation of the prop owner pointers. What we seen before, here we are going to see how it is going to be updating the prop owner pointers. Okay, the first A and B, the diagram, the figure A and B is nothing but it's going to be tell about the prop owner pointers before and after the process. Before and after the process A's take the page fault write request. This is before process A takes a page fault for the owner owned by the, so this PE is a owner, right? So prop owner pointers just before the process A takes a page fault. So before this process A, the page fault will be taken, the page fault is going to be occurred. This pointer will be on the owner P only. The prop owner pointer will be on the owner P. Okay, then after that write, so this is going to be write update, right? This process is requesting for the write on the particular page. So that time before that, this is the owner. He is a process, he is the owner of the particular page. Okay, then after write fault occurs. Now the prop owner after A's write request is forwarded. So all the process which is present in between, everything is going to be, you send the write access that is forwarded to the A. That time who will be the owner now? Now A become the owner, right? So if it is a read fault, if it is write means this process will be the owner. If it is a read, who will be the owner? The same E is the owner, right? Only the process who is updating that process, only the owner of the page. So if any process writing, then the owner will be the previous owner only. There is no change of the transmission of the owner. Next one is thrashing. So there is already I told you that when this thrashing will be occur, the thrashing will be occurs because of the because of the page fault only. So we should be taken care of. That is always the programmer should be responsibility to avoid the thrashing. Avoid thrashing means, that means we need to be avoid the page fault while reading as well as the writing. And here they uses a time slice. For avoiding this thrashing, what we need to be use it, time slice will be used. But there is difficulty in choosing the length of the time slice. Why? Because it is a dynamic. We don't have any fixed time slice for all the pages, right? So they are not going to be going to fix any time slice for generally all the pages. So it is avoiding the thrashing on that page fault. Then we need to the programmer should use the time slice. Okay, time slice is nothing but, I think this I closed. Okay, then the disadvantage is very difficult to choose the length of the time slice. Why? Because it is very dynamic. Thank you.